And for Geek Vibes, you've blown up not just in terms of shooting the photography or shooting the videos. You're now expanding to doing skits. You've now expanded to doing, I mean, literally bringing this world to life. Like what got you there, and like what are your plans moving forward as far as expanding?
So, from the beginning, that's always been the agenda. It was just like, okay, I can grab the crew, I can grab the equipment, but I don't know about the props. So, the journey started. Like, well, let's get to know some cosplayers. I know I always thought as cosplayers, they were like content, like how they want photos, and vice versa. So it was always like the ecosystem where, hey, let's create a cool little content with each other, where you have a nice content, and I also have nice content. And the evolution of that has been pretty much just the networking that we created, and that has given us the ability to kind of do the fan films that we created, even the little short skits. Sometimes even on the convention floor, we just do something, and then on post I can see, it's funny, like, as a professional, we never, it's always pre-production and stuff like that, but on the convention floor is like, let's wing it. That's why I like it, because it's fun. As a professional, I enjoy order, I enjoy pre-production, and in production, very few changes, and any changes I have to be made because of timing or anything, we're kind of always ready, always thinking of our toes. But when it comes to like on the convention floor, it's like, freaking, let's wing it. And there is no client looking for it, because I am the client. So at the end of the day, it's everything I make is for fun. So like some of the ones that you see where I'm using the voices of certain game characters from Batman, Injustice, I literally shoot the skit, and then here, I thank God for these people who literally recorded all the sound bites from a game and put it all in a YouTube video. And literally, I would just hear everything, and then it was like, ooh, I see you mentioned something about meeting. Okay, all right, let's put that to the side. And then I would hear Batman saying, so, okay, cool. I think I remember hearing something about this. Let me go back to it and look through it. So then from there on, create a little story out of it. But ultimately, is to do what we've done with Berserker, with even the little Nightwing short that we did, and the first one that we did was Chico, which was, I feel, competition, and that kind of helped kick start off like that. The future stuff that we have planned is to now, yes, fan films. But it's funny enough, like I told somebody, like, this whole evolution has been for fan films, but Tom McFarlane, in an interview that he did for, it's a documentary called The Perfect Image. If you know the history of Tom McFarlane, not to say he's anti-Marvel, anti-anything, he's more of your work, your story, your creation, your compensation, even if it's for another company, make sure you do your work. In one of the interviews, he literally says, stop creating for these people, create your own content, create your own story, get pretty much your vision out there. And that has stuck with me. So every time I'm thinking, oh yeah, let me do a fan film, boom, I have Tom McFarlane right here on my shoulder saying, fuck that, do your own story. So I am going to create fan films, because that has been pretty much the whole drive of the cosplay community, and it is shareable. People like it, people enjoy it, but not as not as wide as a short film. What I am planning to do is to create my own stories, to create my own characters. There has been characters that's been inspired by certain characters, some stories that I was like, ooh, that'll make a nice Deadpool fan film. But they're like, fuck that. Once again, Tom McFarlane, create your own story. So I started creating a character where it was kind of Deadpool-esque, not necessarily in the comedic way, breaking the fourth wall, but the immortality, the fighting style, and then him having his own story. So the future right now is fan films, small fan films, and then start releasing my own characters, or at least a glimpse of that. And also, we're looking to create, going into comics, but now what we're going to start doing is webtoons fairly soon, maybe by towards the fourth quarter of this year. So, again, creating our own IPs, not something that we can just own and literally profit of. Because I know a lot of people who say, hey, do Kickstarters for a Batman fan film, do Kickstarter. But I'm like, I'm not going to do it, because as Geek Vibes, we do see ourselves as evolving as a big brand. And I don't want that to bite me in the ass later on. I was like, hey, you guys owe us this much because I see it as a profit here, or get shunned out because we created Kickstarters on somebody else's IP, like Batman IP. You know, so I always stood away from, even if we're not making money, just getting money for somebody else's IP. So the fan films that have been created, luckily it's always been a collaboration. The things I had to pay for is really location and food. Always feed the cast and crew, and everybody's just on board. To create magic and stuff that we love. So yeah, that is the future.
I think it's great that because of you guys, there was a point where, like me personally, before we started our podcast, before we got into the idea of interviewing cosplayers, I would go to these conventions mainly because I want to meet celebrities, and then I want to meet these cosplayers. Now it's gotten to the point where like people want to come to meet you guys. They're going because like, oh my god, Nate's gonna be there. Like I gotta try to book a session with him. Oh, Geek Vice is gonna be there. Maybe I could pick his brain on like video tips and stuff like that. Now I think that world has now expanded to a point where people were looking up to cosplayers because of their creativity. Now it's like, well, let's also look at creators for their creativity. So I think it's really great. What are there any future events that you guys are looking forward to, and what is it that you're looking forward to the most in being there?
So for the last few years, my answer to this will never change. Yeah. And I'm sorry, there's a lot of cons I go to and a lot of organizers that I know. I love all of you, but I'm very not shy of this answer. I always look forward to Holiday Matsuri in Orlando every single year. That's my absolute favorite con to go to, because it is just a ton of fun. You get so many people there, and everyone's there for a good time. And I like that it's
Is it just a good time, or like, are you taking pictures there too?
Both. Weirdly enough, it's one of those. It's one of those
like,
things that it lines up. Both work and fun are like in
if we're
perfect
comparing like how many pictures you taking at let's say SuperCon, right? You taking like 1,000 pictures at SuperCon, like averaging. How many pictures are you actually like averaging at what's it called? Holiday.
Hallmat.
Yeah.
Hallmat
Is it like
historically.
Is it like 500 because you're having too much of a good time?
Hallmat historically has been, believe it or not, the biggest final returns that I have.
Really?
It's where I shoot the most every year. As I've grown, Hallmat tends to be if I was getting for math's sake, if I had one booking at a con at the beginning of the year, and that number grows throughout the year, and February I'm getting 2, March 3, whatever, and we're growing, at that steady pace. You get to Hallmat, that number damn near jumps like to double.
Hallmat, if you just the concept alone, it just seems like a good idea based off of like, it's comic books, it's movies, it's geek culture, but a holiday theme. So you just you tell that to any group of people. You say, oh, it's just geek culture but a holiday theme. People would just fucking eat that shit up. Like it just automatically just be like, oh man. Especially if you talk to like cosplayers, it's like, it's Harley Quinn holiday theme. Like people are hearing different things, but they're hearing holiday themes. So it's like the fucking creative juices are just fucking flowing and stuff like that. So it sounds like a good time. But
I think the big thing that really draws people to Hallmat more than anything else is the format of Hallmat is different. It's very different. It's because it's not your typical floor con, right? You're not going to a big empty convention area and just spending on stuff and hitting a few panels. Most of the people that I know that go to Hallmat, they never even go to the floor because it's like all the way on the other side of the property.
No, we heard of that. We had we had other people on the other pod, and we had vendors on the other pod, and they were saying like, yeah, man, people don't even really spend money there.
Yeah.
So we heard the negative part. So you guys are talking about nothing but positive right here.
But it's the reality, and a lot of the vendors that I know, I tell them the same thing, like. Understand that Hallmat's going to get a lot of numbers.
Yeah,
because vendors go off of like, hey, how many attendees do you have so I can prepare? Hallmat is this weird, like black goose or ugly duckling of the fact that like, yes, they will get those numbers. They're not lying about the numbers that they bring.
Yeah.
However, only expect like a quarter of those numbers to actually go to the floor. because they're not there for the floor.
Quarter, bro.
Yeah.
A quarter.
They're going to the hallways. They're going to meet.
Quarter. And
Yeah.
then you
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
think about like out of that quarter, a quarter of them are gonna buy.
Yeah.
So the people that are there, they're there for the location. They're there to meet creators.
Yeah.
They're there to get content. They're there to like
just
hang
be
out at the
creative
bar.
content.
There's people that go and just stay
No
3 days
vendors.
at that bar, and that's it. They
Yeah.
start their day at the bar in the lobby. They end the day at that bar in the lobby. They go sleep, do it again for the next 3 days, and just shake hands. The format of Hallmat is very different, and I think that's what makes it so enjoyable. Because you're not constantly pressured to be on the floor, you're not constantly pressured to go to the panels. All that's an afterthought. You make up Hallmat what you want. If you want to go and just meet people, have a chill time, you do that. If you want to go and just party your brains out for
Yeah.
the entire weekend, you can do that. The format's so different, and that brings people back.
And the fact that the hotel's there, so it's almost like a 24-hour thing. So literally, like after 8 o'clock or something, people change into onesie pajamas,
Yeah.
and it's pretty much superhero theme.
Is Hallmat a whole weekend or a 1 day thing?
It's 2 days.
Two
2 days.
2 days?
3 days.
3 days.
3 days.
3 days.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Gosh. That's something that I'm actually trying to create here. For those who don't know, we're doing CosFest here at Florida. I was about to say Florida SuperCon. We're doing CosFest here at Extreme Action Park, and it's supposed to be just a pregame party. But eventually, I'm trying to get after that Hallmat,
Yeah.
like that way of doing things where I want to do a yearly party for cosplayers, for artists. Everyone can socially network with each other, meet each other, do like set up photo sessions, video sessions, whatever. And then eventually I want to do it where I'm going to bring in vendors and like make sure that they're not left out. So you can literally come to this event. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. You can literally walk in, meet your favorite cosplayers. But yeah, there may be a couple tables where people are selling some anime stuff and some, geek culture stuff, and like no one is being left out. And then what's great is that it's in the middle of Extreme Action Park, so you guys can meet up, play laser tag together, go karting together, which I'm super excited about. We do have a lot of cosplayers that are saying they're going to come out to this event, and I booked out some go kart sessions for them. We could do a Mario Kart race. I know some people are planning on coming in dressed as like Metroid characters to do a laser tag game. Someone told me that they're thinking about maybe coming in as like Indiana Jones and doing like an escape room, which I'm like, yo, that's totally awesome. Let's do it. And again, it's a free event, which I'm super excited about. So with Hallmat, I mean, does it get to a point where it's so crowded that you're not able to work, or you still have?
That's the beauty of it. I've never, because it's such an expansive property, right? You have this giant outdoor pool. You have this giant lake. You have the lobby area that has 2 floors. You have this very long hallway, and part of that is where there's 2 big sections where they have big Christmas trees. You just have so much space that regardless of how many people are there, it's very hard to just be like, hey, we're shoulder to shoulder. Because once again, it's not a floor. You're not limited to like little alleys between vendors. It's giant open spaces on a humongous resort property. And you can go anywhere, right? There's also like this space outside where they have like this beautiful purple lit green room that people go there. There's just a lot of space and availability. And because a lot of people there are there for content creation, they respect each other enough to like, hey, let me not be let me not be right up next to you. So no, I always have a great time. I shoot a lot at Hallmat, and I've never had that issue of like I am just absolutely in flux of people all over me.
What about you, Delgado?
So for me, it's different because about 2 or 3 years ago, I decided that Hallmat was a fun moment for me and everybody that we know. I don't shoot at Hallmat anymore. I don't take equipment at all. Because I don't take equipment at all because every time so I've been
I told myself that last year. It didn't work. It didn't work.
It takes a while. It takes a while because, and funny enough, I've been telling myself because as we are concentrating more on short films, shooting at the conventions, it takes time from as far as post production. It takes time from planning, from meeting to make these short films happen. So I've been telling myself, hey, I'm gonna minimize a little bit of the convention shooting, but every time I take the camera and lighting, I'm like, man, that's a dope cosplay. Let me pull it out real quick. So when it comes to Hallmat, I told myself no equipment whatsoever, because if I have it, then I'm shooting. And yeah, that's what we did. We did not this past year, but the last year, you know, I take Stephanie with me, and we had a blast. I came in a Batman onesie. She was a Wonder Woman bat onesie, and we came later. So that's one good thing about Hallmat. You don't have to come at 12 or in the morning or 5 o'clock's too late. No. If anything, wait, because everybody's gonna be at the bar. We're gonna be drinking, and having a good time.
How much are these drinks? You know what I mean?
so
The ones you buy, the bar, the ones you bring.
Orlando prices. Orlando
I was
prices.
just thinking that.
Yes.
Bringing drinks.
definitely.
Remember, you're at your hotel.
Yeah.
You bring whatever you want, my
bring
guy.
whatever you want.
And I
There's
recommend-
rules that's nothing but liquor.
What do they call those drinks that you bring? Like drinks that you bring to yourself. It's called like a booze bag or something. Or
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's called, a booze bag.
So I definitely recommend. I mean, because we were a little bit later in the game, but we got there, and we're like, well, let's get a bottle. The bottles are pretty expensive there because they have their own little, not mall, but little shopping area.
Yeah.
You can get food, like a little food court. So if anything,
Bring
stay at
it
the
up.
hotel there, definitely. You know, because now we have to worry about parking. Because trying to get in, it gets packed. Literally, the line is outside. You might have to wait a couple, maybe 20, 30 minutes just to get dropped off at the front. So definitely stay at the hotel and just leave your car there, really, and get yourself some booze and pregame in the hotel room. And if you feel like, you know, keeping it lively, then yeah, get yourself something in the bar. Why not?
So the party never goes to like the actual floor. So you guys were just like, I'm thinking about frat. shit.
We're
thinking about college.
Have you been to Hallmat?
Nah, never.
So yeah, we haven't been to Hallmat. That's why we're asking these questions and we're picking your brains because we keep hearing both sides.
It's like either go or not.
Like the vendors are like, nah, don't waste your time, and then everybody else is like, no, what are you talking about? It's
waste
the
your
biggest
time, bro.
party of the year. Like,
Waste
absolutely.
your time.
Know what you're getting into. If you're there to set up a booth and a table, understand that your numbers are not going to be what they advertise.
Yeah.
That's it. If you
Yeah,
go there prepared with that,
Yeah.
you're gonna do fine, right? One thing that I like to talk to is you're gonna get people at the floor regardless. However, and as far as local
They have
cons,
panels there too.
yeah, they have panels. What I try to compare it to is like, think about it like this: you're looking at numbers that are gonna be more. I don't know about this year. This year was kind of crazy, but traditionally, you're gonna have numbers of people that are more equivalent to like a SuperCon or a MegaCon going to Hallmat. However, at the vendors, you're gonna
this
get
year's super. You talking about this year's MegaCon?
no, not
Oh,
this year's MegaCon. It's a little crazy. But as attendees wise, that's the numbers they're going to sell to advertise and justify their booth ticket.
Yeah.
But if you're going to the booth and you're looking for people buying stuff, you have to be more in the mindset of like, I can judge this on the terms of attendees for like an otaku fest, right? Or something a bit smaller, more compact in nature, because that's what you get. You get people going to this event like a SuperCon, you know, Glory Day SuperCon, but you get people buying more on the otaku fest side. If you understand that as a vendor, then you play the risk of the games that you want, right? I know a lot of vendors that will go, they'll just hire someone to vend their stuff to make, and they'll go hit the rest of the party while that happens. Those vendors tend to be the one that are happiest when they leave, because they understand the fact like, hey, I'm not here to make a ton of money. I'm still gonna sell my product,
It's like a.
but I'm gonna go enjoy the party. This is the party of the year.
It's like your holiday party. It's
Yep.
like if cosplayers and photographers and videographers were, if it was like if you guys all worked at the office, this is your holiday party kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.